Good morning, everyone. I'm Colin Fitzpatrick. Welcome back to CBT News. Today is Thursday, May 29th. Here's a look at today's top automotive industry stories. A Manhattan-based U.S. trade court has blocked President Trump's attempt to impose tariffs on imports from trade surplus nations, ruling that the president has exceeded his authority under the Constitution, which reserves trade regulation powers for Congress. The decision stems from lawsuits filed by small businesses and 13 states, which argue that the tariffs would harm commerce. Ford has issued a recall for over 1 million vehicles in the US due to a software error that may cause rear-view camera images to freeze, delay, or fail to display, potentially increasing the risk of a crash. The NHTSA began investigating the issue back in January following 37 consumer complaints, with Ford later confirming the glitch. Owners will receive letters starting in June and will be offered free software updates. A group of Tesla shareholders led by the SOC Investment Group and representing 7.9 million shares sent a letter to the board urging the company to ensure that Elon Musk commits at least 40 hours a week to Tesla. The letter follows a steep 71% profit drop and declining sales, which investors partly blame on Musk's political involvement with the Trump administration and the US DOGE service. Toyota is planning to boost its plug-in hybrid sales to 20% of its US volume by 2030, up from 2.4% last year, as it expands its electrified lineup amid uncertain EV demand. Despite higher costs and charging confusion, Toyota views these vehicles as key to meeting regulations and consumer needs, expecting hybrids and plug-in hybrids to account for over half of its US sales by 2025. Don't go anywhere, we'll be right back with Patrick Monzi, Chief Economist at NADA, to discuss the current state of the retail automotive industry and his outlook for the rest of the year.
Jim Fitzpatrick, Bridget Fitzpatrick, Dave Anderson, Dave Canton, Colin Carasquillo, Jonathan Dawson, Steve Greenfield, Adam Marburger, Jennifer Suzuki. The strongest team in retail automotive. CBT News, dealers' #1 source for news, content, and analysis.
April sales numbers, March's sales numbers, those are the highest SARs we've seen since, March and April of 2021. And we all remember what was happening back then.
Yeah.
It was when everybody kind of got wind of the chip shortage coming.
That's right.
Inventory was really sold down. We're all vaccinated. People had money. And so we saw the SAR climb above 18 million back in April.
Yeah.
So it's one of the strongest performances in many, many years. But really, I think consumers are smart. They're aware of the tariffs that have been enacted by the current administration. And so they wanted to get out there and get their hands on some inventory that wasn't affected by tariffs. So really, I think you've seen a lot of pull ahead purchases here. And I think that's going to end up, we're going to have a really solid Q2, probably one of the best second quarters we've had in a long while as dealers work through this pre-tariffed inventory.
Yeah, that's great. That's fantastic. With rising vehicle prices, are we likely to see more consumers moving, though, to used vehicles versus new?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we've already seen, some rising prices in the wholesale market. Talking with dealers, I hear they're paying more in the lanes. And, personally, I sold a car recently. I checked all the normal sites that you might want to check for valuations, and I watched my valuation go up for several weeks in a row before I ended up selling the vehicle. So, yeah, we're seeing used prices up because there is demand.
Sure.
Data supply, if you look at some of the data Cox puts out on inventory and used vehicle day supply, I think it's around 43 days right now for used vehicles, and that's the lowest it's been in several years. So I know the dealers are going to bust out that COVID playbook, blow the dust off of it. I wouldn't be surprised if I start seeing those "We'll buy your car" signs getting put back up along the roadsides as they try to get creative with new ways to source these vehicles.
And be sure to watch the rest of this interview in its entirety right here at cbtnews.com. That wraps up our show for today, but join us again tomorrow morning right here at cbtnews.com. And remember, it's easy to stay up to date with the most recent news and trends influencing the retail automotive industry. All you have to do is follow us. We're on TikTok, LinkedIn, Facebook, and X.